Welcome back to The Pulse, where we focus on all things people, power, and politics. One thing we've been seeing all week, protests as deportations and ICE raids continue. Joining us now to talk about this, John Paul Torres, an elected school board trustee in Waterford who worked on the DREAM Act back in 2002 as a congressional fellow under Barack Obama. He's a proud Latino American. His father was an undocumented Mexican immigrant who went on to join the U.S. Army. And conservative attorney Terry Johnson, a regular on The Pulse, who believes we have to have a way of compassion and order at the same time. A very good and important discussion that we hope to have here on The Pulse. Thank you both for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Terry, we always appreciate you coming on. We've never had John Paul on before, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about the framing of this story. And let me just be honest with you. You pointed something out to me off camera just a few weeks ago, saying you keep talking about this issue about Latino Americans who are at risk of being deported, but you never put a face on to match that. That's an important part of the discussion, yes?
Oh, yes, it is. And I think it's really important to understand the background of these families that come. And I told you before, my father, he came to the United States of America at the height of the 1960s, the Civil Rights Movement. Started out in California, worked the great fields, made his way up to Michigan, marched with Dr. King, was so inspired by the Civil Rights Movement, learned English, became a United States citizen, later went on to join the United States Army. 40 years in the automotive industry. Went on to have children, me and my brothers, all college graduates. I've been a public servant 20 plus years, an elected official. My daughter has worked for the Department of Justice. She's an attorney. And I have 3 nieces and nephews who all have served in the United States military. So these are the people who are coming across the border, the generational people and what happens and what comes of them in our families.
So you're saying, but your family's story did begin with an undocumented man who had a dream.
Exactly.
And you believe that the way this story is being told, especially by many conservative outlets, has been told in a way to vilify and demonize the people coming across the border.
Yeah, and the narrative is that they're all bad. And that is not the case. There's the 1% that would be bad, that are breaking the law and that are committing crimes. They should be deported, for sure. Everybody can agree on that. It's the 99% of the good people who are doing the right things, who are coming, who are working hard and trying to make a life for their family, like my family did.
Terry, when you see the pictures that began the entire story in LA of those going into those Home Depots and finding some people who are working every day and doing their thing, do you believe that this Trump administration has gotten it right by their targeted raids at Home Depots, or do you believe that maybe it was overreach?
I don't think it was overreach, but I want to go back to, one thing John Paul talked about, and putting a face on things. But if you notice, Lady Justice, one thing she has a blindfold on because the law should treat everybody equally. And part of, and I think you've got a great story, and I think that's phenomenal. But I wonder about the other people that couldn't get here, who tried to get here legally. And they couldn't get here because their numbers and things didn't come up, It's always, and I disagree with 99 versus 1. I think there's more than just 1% coming across that border. The issue is...
You're saying there's more than 1% that are considered dangerous?
Oh, absolutely.
What do you think the percentage is?
I would say somewhere around 15 to 20% that actually get into the communities and do other things that we really don't know about. And how do I know this? Because, again, I'm a criminal defense attorney. I see a lot of things that happen. And then you look on the federal side, it's keeping not only ICE busy, it's keeping the FBI busy, and it's keeping other federal departments busy. But the bigger issue is it's got to be a way to keep families like yours and the dream that your father had. It's got to be a way to keep those folks here and make things happen. So that's really the issue.
The president just said yesterday on television, when asked about so many in the farming community who are actually here illegally. And he said, if we send all of those folks back, we won't have people working at Dole farms and all these other farms in Del Monte and these great places. The talents and the riches of talent that come here from outside of this country, he says, need to be preserved. Do you believe President Trump when he says that?
Well, I think we need comprehensive immigration reform. And I want to see President Trump, put that legislation out there and move forward with it. We don't have that in America, and that's what we need right now. Reagan gave amnesty to 4 million undocumented aliens that came to this country, and then he went a year later and he afforded that to their children. I think that's what we have to look at. We had that coming up through the ropes in 2024. Trump killed it. And I think that it was a bipartisan effort. It was going to give something for everybody. It was going to give amnesty, but it was also going to include border security, and it was going to increase funding for homeland security. That's the approach we need to have.
Outside of the bluster of the ICE raids and the other kind of news conferences that this president holds, where he uses language and strong holding all of this kind of a topic, we know that President Obama, during his time in office, at one point was deporting 35,000 people every month. At the height of President Trump's deportations, it was at 11,000. Why weren't we hearing these discussions so loudly then?
Because it's the vilification of the community. Trump tells the Latino community that we're murderers and we're rapists, and that is not true. And that's why we are fighting back, because this is our identity. This is who we are. I want my children to look in the mirror and be able to say, I'm proud of that individual.
But you have a problem with the way President Obama did it back in 2008, 2009?
But at least Obama was trying. He initiated DACA in 2012. He tried to push through comprehensive immigration reform. Trump is not, and it's the language in which he is approaching this issue, vilifying all these individuals who many come from the Latino community. And it is disparaging, and it is something that the Latino community is really fighting back on.
Terry, you don't hear the screams of fights coming because so many of them have been drowned out by people who do stereotype all of them. Do you think that's a problem?
I think it is a problem, and I don't think every Latino person is a problem, like every black person, every Indian person.
Right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
not everyone, and I think that's absolutely wrong. But I don't know that he's absolutely targeting every Latino. And I think when we really look at this and the people that he wants to get off the streets are, and let's go back. We have to have this conversation because of what happened over the last 4 years. The borders were open. Too many people were coming across who shouldn't be here. We first have to get rid of those folks, and then I think once we get rid of that bad element, start to talk about.
John Paul, last word for you. Hope that you have for the future in terms of getting this kind of legislation done.
Appreciate it. I think it's more complex because I think we have to look at the immigrant issues. We have to look at each case, and we have to see where there's an opportunity to give people amnesty that deserve it. If there are bad people, there are bad actors, there are people bringing things across the border they shouldn't be bringing, they should be deported. They should be prosecuted. But I challenge everybody to go and talk to an immigrant. Go to a restaurant in the kitchen. Go to the hospitality people cleaning the rooms. Go to the construction workers who are working in construction and have a conversation with them. My guess is that they're going to try to speak English to you, and they're going to tell you, and you ask them, why did you come here? I think it's going to open up the doors more. People will have these conversations and stop just looking at what they're seeing on social media and have more of an appreciation in their face, as you say, to the immigration issue.
You helped in earnest start that here today on this program. And John Paul, we want to thank you for your time. And please do come back and talk to us again as we continue to discuss this issue. Terry, as you know, the door is open here as well for you all the time. We appreciate the civil discussion. There is a such thing as having a civil discussion, by the way. I don't know if anyone on social media has heard of that yet. Take notes. All eyes in the Middle East after Israel launched a wide-scale attack on Iran last night. What does it mean? One of the top political experts in our state with the answer next.